What's up, spell slingers? My name is Garion John Wells.
I'm Drew Flitton.
And I'm Cory Janibagian.
And this is Untap
Upkeep.
Drink.
Beer up.
Hear ye, we are here to continue Commander 2016. This is part 2 of our review of the Commander 2016 decks. We've already talked about the mana bases. We've introduced you to the commanders and the alternate partner commanders that were included in the deck. But before we dive into the cards in this set, we want to encourage you guys to take the survey that we've got going and also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're at UUD Podcast and Untap Upkeep Drink. And we've got a special little product here sent to us by a viewer. These are dope. These are custom tokens and or...
Well, they've got like Monarch token, Soul Ring.
Yeah,
like
I want to call them altars, but they're not.
They're like personalized art collections. Like the dude spent the time.
They're proxies.
Yeah.
Is what they are. Yep. And it's, if you want to check them out, it's Baerth on Twitter.
Baerthe.
Yeah.
Apologize if we spell your name right because they're
I hope I'm saying that right.
Amaranthalchemy.com.
Yeah.
We'll have
so this guy hit me up
yeah.
on Twitter and was talking about the podcast and just was like, hey, do you guys want to check them out and see what they look like and feel like and maybe talking about them on the show? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, we love cards. Why not? So he sent us a whole bundle full of these tokens.
Yeah, and then Garion sent Cory and I in our group chat just like, yo, check these out. And we'll say, oh, what the fuck? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, they are sick as hell. The art is super dope. They feel really good. They're double-sided. They have like anything you could ever want a token. There's probably one for them. Like they have spirit tokens. They have creature tokens. This one's on an adventure. Like
relevant shit. That's
this one's it's just a generic copy token. Like so you can have it as a placeholder for anything you want.
Yeah, I've got Vampire, Soldier, Thopter, Angel.
Yeah, I've already dibs the Goblin token.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of goodies in here. You should definitely go check them out.
And they're super unique. They're almost like steampunk feel because they're dark and dingy, but they've just got super unique kind of cartoon-based artwork. They're really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like these are like those custom unique things that people want to pop out on a table and like, oh, let me grab my tokens. And you pop out these like, holy shit, where did you get those?
I've never seen any tokens like these.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that has gone into them.
But we wanted to give a shout out to Baerth. That is, first of all, it's an extremely generous gift. Thank you very much. These are dope. But also, go check them out on Twitter. These are really cool, very unique tokens. So I think they fit into kind of our audience here of people who like to
swag out a little
spice it up. Yeah.
I mean, considering that some of my favorite tokens are the ones I've gotten from Card Kingdom, and that's kind of like the same idea what this one is. It's just like dope proxies if you want to play with proxies, but also just like the token value I think is just huge there.
Yeah.
So as we get into these decks here, we are going to be sipping on a very unique, spicy.
Shut the fuck up and let me explain this
Very
shit.
spicy boy.
Yeah, a very unique drink here. Let me turn it over to Drew, who knows quite a bit more about what we're about to be drinking on the night.
We're about to put in our bodies.
Yeah, so on the 2015 episode, I thought that it was a special time because it was what got us into Commander. It was what really like pushed us to the next level as far as Magic is concerned. And so I was like, yo, let's open up a new one of these Game of Thrones scotches. Haven't had it before. Basically, no one I know has. I've got the full collection at this point in time, and it took a lot of effort to get there. And I grabbed what was number 3 as far as the ones that I had bought. So I was like, you know what? If we're going to do 2016 in 2 episodes, I might as well grab number 1 and number 2 that I've opened. And so the first one we have is actually the Greyjoy Talisker. This is the Talisker Select Reserve Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. It is 45.8%.
Nice. I like that.
It's a heavy boy. It is delectable. It is wonderfully smoky and somehow still like super smooth. Got like nice oaky characteristics.
This has nothing to do with the liquor, but I'm not necessarily a Greyjoy fan, but the label, because it's sea creature themed, I'm so fucking hooked. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's super
Sold.
dope. Last time, Cory, you mentioned that the smoke was the reason why you enjoyed certain scotches, or I guess not enjoyed them, but liked them more than others.
They make it palatable because they add like a complexity and flavor that I enjoy.
The Talisker is everything that you want out of
Hell
scotch.
yeah.
It's really
Smoke
fucking
me
good.
out.
Yeah, literally. And the other one is the one that I actually opened on my brother's birthday. We've got the Dalwhinnie Winter's Frost Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. And the best thing that I could describe it as was very similar to a Japanese whiskey. And it's kind of hard to describe. It does have some smoky notes, some oaky notes, that like peaty Scotch flavor, but it's done exceptionally well. Like the Japanese whiskey, the reason why I describe it similar to that is because they've kind of like refined the craft and taken very specific flavors that they're looking for. And that's what I get out of it is like, it's a honed craft. It really is like a lot of time and effort and like generations that have gone into it.
Okay, so this one
That's the
is
Talisker.
the smoky
It's-
Kraken.
Correct.
Right away, as you can tell, it's just alcohol because we said, 45.8%?
Yeah.
You do get a lot of smoke just from the aroma. It's nice and beautiful. All these scotches Drew's brought are just beautiful, beautiful. Just
Gorgeous.
amber gold colors.
Weirdly enough, though, we have like a half an inch in each of these glasses, and yet you can already tell a color difference between the two of them.
Yeah, the Talisker is a lot darker.
Yeah, it's like a real amber gold, almost orange kind of color. And the other is almost a yellow golden.
Yeah, that's sort of
wheat
a hay. So you were not lying when you said this was just smoke because it really is just smoke. And it is delicious.
Yeah.
You get a lot of just sweet notes and then just right into this just smoky complex flavors. I don't like the alcohol burn that you get, but you can't fight that when it comes to liquor. But all the other notes, it's very, very complex. Like it's still developing on my palate as I talk, but it's very overpowering smokiness in the best way.
That's too much for me. But I will say, first taste, it had a little bit of sweetness, a whole lot of alcohol sharpness. As I swallowed it, weirdly enough, the alcohol started to dissipate, and all I get is campfire. Like genuinely
that was-
sitting around a fucking campfire with my friends, which is kind of a nostalgic flavor to me. I was like, oh, this is kind of, you feel a little manly like we're camping, but it's also just not what I want to drink. I definitely wouldn't buy it for myself, but that is an intense flavor that is, to me, impressive to get out of such a clean looking liquor. Like that's all you taste is burnt peat.
Yeah, it's smoke distilled
Yeah.
down.
It's wild.
So the next one is the Dalwhinnie. This is the one.
It already smells less harsh.
Yeah, it will. Less alcohol content. I think it's like 43%. The smoke just isn't as overpowering, but
That is interesting. There's a lot more sweet, caramely notes to that. That one's a lot closer to the scotch we had before.
the Cardew Reserve, yeah.
Yeah. Another episode, the C15 episode. That one's infinitely more enjoyable to my palate. But it is still quite harsh on the alcohol content, like you said. Like it's a scotch, it's gonna be harsh, but
It is a liquor that is straight.
Yeah.
it's quite good. Yeah, it's
a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to be.
It's pretty good. I like that
I guess
one a
it's
lot.
just my inexperience with scotch because I don't ever expect them to be sweet. I just expect them to be bitter and harsh and smoky and
Alcohol.
just not what I want.
Yeah.
But this one is really sweet, and it's different levels of sweet.
Drew's over
Drew's
here
just like
having
a
party.
giddy
Yeah.
schoolboy, but
I'm so happy.
it just flows in layers. Like you get some sweetness at the beginning, and then just flows into the alcohol notes, and then just flows into like the aged barrel taste, and then it flows back into the sweetness. And then I guess that's why people love scotch because
feel
they
like-
are so complex.
Yeah, the Talisker, as soon as I had it, I knew that Cory would like that one a bit more. The Dalwhinnie, I think, is more approachable for most people, but I think that the Cardew Reserve is not
That's the
necessarily
one we had before.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a baby step by any means, because any of these single malt scotches are very intense.
Yes.
But I think that the Cardew is something that a lot of people I think will be able to appreciate more.
It's the most approachable scotch,
Exactly.
for sure.
And I think the Dalwhinnie is kind of the next step up. But the Dalwhinnie, again, it reminds me of a Japanese whiskey because it does have like these very distinct notes that are super refined. And that is, I mean, it's kind of ironic that I compare it that way when it's literally the other way around, where the Japanese whiskey is an imitation, is a mimicry of the Scotches. So kind of funny there. But I think we've talked about this long enough.
So now that we've gotten into all these delicious scotches, let's actually talk some magic and dive back into these C16 cream of the crop. 10 out of 10. They set the bar for Magic Commander set.
4 color
Decks.
commanders.
Can I talk about the Scotches some more?
No.
Okay.
We'll do that later. So the first
Hard
thing
cut.
we have are just some cycles that we're just going to try and skim through pretty fast because they're not as interesting as a lot of the other cards that we're going to talk about.
Think that
They're
in and of themselves.
They're important, and I'm glad they included them, but they're just sort of, yeah, this is a cool card. Boom, done. Kind of. I don't know. The first one we have is Basic Land Cycling, which is a dope-ass ability that they brought back.
Yeah. So with the basic land cycling, they had, I think it was just allied colored pairs. One of the good examples is Sylvan Reclamation. I think it's 3 green, white. And what are one of the things that green and white do really well together in Commander?
Tokens.
Exile, artifacts, and enchantments.
Yes. And so it's 5 mana to exile 2 artifacts or enchantments. I think it's like 1 of each, or like just 2
I
in
think
total.
it's Return to Dust, similar.
Basically, yeah. And it also has basic land cycling for 2. So go fetch yourself a basic. But I think that all of the ones in there's the Treacherous Terrain, which is the red-green Grave Upheaval for red and black, Ancient Excavation for blue-black, and Migratory Route for white-blue. So like blue-white skies, like discard and like grave recursion. Like there's a bunch of things in there that match the color pairings that I think is really strong for color identity purposes, but also the fact that you can just go land cycle them is dope.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, but just modular cards is very important in EDH. And you can get it early game, pitch it to color fix to cast your commander, or if you get it late game, you can actually play this awesome card and do something with it.
Yeah, it's weird because the modularity to it is the like land cycling
Yeah.
bit, but it's such a strong ability that, again, I feel like a lot of the things in the set are really underplayed because of like the hype between the commanders and like partner commanders, that a lot of the things that are like new and less exciting are just kind of missed by a lot of people.
Yeah, because a lot of these mechanics, they just help focus and make the decks run better, which people want to see the flashy, awesome things, not how well the deck runs. But that's the most important thing when it comes to playing these decks.
And basic land cycling, like all cycling, is at instant speed.
Yeah.
So, hey, let me go get the color I need for the turn.
Yeah, they fix you, they get you on curve, and they thin out your deck.
Yeah, I mean, not so much in Commander, really.
It's not as relevant, but it's still an extra card that you might not have to draw.
Yeah. So all of these things are good things out of these cards. And while we're not going to like read off every single one of them, it's something that you should look into, that these are cards that are very real cards in their own right. They're overcosted for the effect, but the fact that they can basic land cycle really makes up for that.
Yeah, this is why a lot of people run Ash Barrens, just run Ash Barrens. That's because it has basic land cycling.
Yep.
The next cycle is pretty dope.
It
is a commander.
Yeah, it's
cycle.
different.
Yeah. So this is the Undaunted cycle. We've got Sublime Exaltation, Coastal Breach, Curtain's Call, Divergent Transformations, and Seeds of Renewal. The Undaunted mechanic says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each opponent. So each of these spells does something a little bit different, and we'll have those up on the screen. But basically what we're saying is, hey, play this in Commander, and you will have some cheap-ass spells because you're going to have 2, 3, 4 opponents.
Yeah, white is Wrath of God. Blue is basically...
Don't say Cyclonic Rift.
It's Cyclonic Rift, but it affects everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's basically the symmetrical Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a card.
balanced Cyclonic Rift. It's not evacuation, because evacuation is only creatures.
Oh, that's the card I was thinking of. Yeah. Curtain's Call, just destroy 2 creatures. Divergent Transformations is Chaos Warp
Yeah.
for all of your opponents.
No, it's just exile two things.
And then Season Renewal is just regrowth times 2.
Yeah, so they're not crazy.
But the fact that I think they all cost like 6 or 7 mana, something like that. The fact that they could cost 2 or 3 is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be okay if they went back to the Undaunted mechanic and made
is sweet.
better cards. Because these ones are...
The Wrath of God is good.
The Wrath of God is good. The blue one is good in certain scenarios just because it clears everything out.
Yeah,
the rest of them are kind of trash.
But just flavor-wise, it's so sweet. Like, I don't give a fuck how many opponents I have. I'm still casting this card.
Yeah, like, if you're looking at, like, the Wrath of God one specifically, like, it's 7 mana, which, I mean, sometimes you pay 7 mana for a Wrath.
Yeah.
But, like, the fact that you could also just pay 4 mana, and it's not double white for Wrath of God, you lose the, subtext of, no regeneration, but...
Most of the
1
time,
white
that's
pip
not gonna be huge.
for a Wrath of God? Fucking deal, dude. All right, we've also got the monocolored shared cycle. And this is one that, again, is kind of underplayed. And the reason why I put it on here is not for the individual cards, but the fact that the cards play into the strategies of the deck and play against the other strategies of the other decks. So we've got Orzhov, Advocist, Grip of Phyresis, Parting Thought, Frenzied Fugue, and Evolutionary Escalation. So the Advocist is the white one. It basically allows you to trade counters across the board for a Pillow Fort-like effect. Like I think you put 2 +1/+1 counters. Each player can elect to put it on one of their creatures. If they do, they can't attack you on their next turn. So for you just get free counters. For others, they have to make the decision, hey, do I put the counters on here? If I do, it means I can't attack them, but I can attack other people. So it's part of the Pillow Fort idea of you can attack anyone around you, and I'll even help you out there, but don't attack me.
Yeah, this is a kill on sight card because if you don't take the counters, everyone's going to look at you like, oh,
he's going to attack you.
My creatures are already going to be better because they're already getting +1/+1 counters and they're bigger, and you don't want to play nice with anybody. So,
Grip of Phyresis is dope because it's rare that you get to steal equipment specifically, like artifacts maybe, but it's equipment, and it also makes a germ token for that to go on. So it's like, hey, nice sword you got there. I'm gonna take that and make a germ with it.
Yeah, and I think the scary part is that it's instant speed. So you can just I'm gonna suit up and swing for lethal. It's like, nah, I'm gonna steal all that good stuff.
So Parting Thought is the black one. It is really cool because it is not just removal, but it also cares about the number of counters on things. I put +1/+1 counters on our outline just because that's the one that's going to be most relevant in most situations, but it's like an anti-proliferate card. Frenzy Fugue is the red one. It's threaten, but for permanence, and it happens each turn. And for 4 mana, that's not too bad. Red Enchantment, which, again, whatever.
It's weird.
And the green one is +1/+1 counters for all. You get 3 +1/+1 counters, but you got to put 3 on somebody else's stuff. And so it allows you to buff up like one creature really massive, but spread out the +1/+1 counters.
Yeah, I remember one game where we were playing with this card out, and I think one person we had like a 20/20 Land War Elves. Like, it was super dope.
That's when you look someone in the eye and you tap it, and they're like, oh shit, he's swinging at me. Tap for green.
Exactly, yeah. It was just stupid stuff like that. It's like, because they all only blocked with it, and it was awesome.
All right, and then we've got the continuation of our super ultra mega cycle or super cycle, depending on who you ask. We've got Magus of the Will, not wheel, but will.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing.
Yeah. This is the sort of spanning, overarching cycle that they did between 2015 and now. They have not completed it quite yet. Magus of the Will is 2 and a black for a 3/3 creature human wizard, and you can pay 2 and a black to tap him, exile Magus of the Will, and until the end of your turn, you may
really
play
gotta
cards.
Emphasize that will.
Will.
Because you keep saying wheel.
Until end of turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. So this is obviously a less than ideal copy of Yawgmoth's Will.
Yawgmoth Wheel.
Yawgmoth Wheel. I think this cycle is really cool because it gives people a cheaper money-wise way to get a hold of really powerful effects. But obviously because they're also cheaper and they're worried about this like reserve list type of interaction with WotC, they're also not as good, but they're still good. They're still powerful.
So the cycle is,
effects.
Again, sorceries that have been turned into creatures for the same cost, but then they have an activated ability in order to get that effect that the original sorceries have.
Almost feel like a planeswalker that can cast that sorcery. You know what I mean? In essence, it's like the embodiment of the sorcery within a creature. The creature comes out, you can use it as a creature, but it also has the ability to create that effect, which is kind of cool. Some of the important mentions that we're going to talk about that don't fall within a cycle. Let's talk about the Saskia deck first.
All right, so one of the cards on the list here is one of the cards that I want to put in so many decks, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $10. And also it's convert mana cost is real high.
It's also expensive. Yeah.
And that's the Stonehoof Chieftain. Most of the cards on these lists we're not actually going to read, but Stonehoof Chieftain I think is probably...
It's weird and different enough because it's crazy.
So it's 7 and a green for a creature, Centaur Warrior. It's an 8/8 trample, indestructible. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gains trample and indestructible until end of turn.
I can't tell you how many times I've been killed by this thing because they play it and they swing out and it's like, I thought I could block.
Yeah, but
I can't do anything.
You can block, but it won't matter.
It will not matter.
No.
I will still die.
Well, it's just, I'll still lose.
Just really quick before we move on to the next card, this is a Centaur Warrior, but if you look at the bottom of the half of this big boy, that's a fucking hippo. Anyway,
Just because you
Moving
make,
on
it,
to
you make
the-
it sound like centaurs can't be half hippos.
I don't believe they can. They're supposed to be half horse, half human.
Half human?
Half human. This is a half hippo, half tree folk. Fucking ent over here. All right. The next guy has the most flavorful name.
It's one of my favorite cards from Khan's block. Ankle Shanker.
Woo!
The big, the bad. Basically, whenever it attacks, creatures you control get first strike and death touch. The lethal combination. Yeah, fuck with my shit. I
Like,
dare
I will
you.
not block twice.
Love that card. We've got Brutal Horde Chief, which whenever you attack, you just drain or your opponent loses life.
Yeah, and it has a really weird and cool thing that I've always wanted to build around. But it's 3 and then Boros hybrid mana. Creatures your opponents control block this turn if able, and you choose how those creatures block.
Interesting.
So
Super
how things block, you can just hose them so hard.
And then we also have Charging Cinderhorn, which allows you to force other players to attack or basically just deal damage out, which is super good. And then one card that I love in this list, and that's Blind Obedience, which is a control card. Creatures and artifacts your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Super dope. And people are like, why is that in an aggro deck? Because if your opponent's shit is tapped, you can attack them for free.
And then underutilized, it also has Extort, so you can get incidental value.
Yeah. So all of these cards that I throw together on this list are basically, I mean, including Stonehoof Chieftain, but that card I feel like is in a league of its own, are cards that enable you to be aggressive and force your opponents to attack, to block in ways that are favorable to you. And I think that that's super dope in a deck that is all about aggro.
Yeah, Saskia is all about double damage. Also, shout out to Seb McKinnon for the art on Blind Obedience.
So good.
It's tight. So the next one we have is Brea.
Yeah.
Next one we have is Brea. And the first card we have on this is Duretti, which is the mono red planeswalker.
From that last episode
Commander
we talked
Can
about.
be your commander.
Yeah. So this deck cares about artifacts, and Duretti is
super
an
good.
artifact powerhouse.
Yeah.
So he is a great include in this deck. The next one is Trinket Mage, which just tutors. Is that
Trinket Mage.
it's 1 or less, right?
1 or less,
Tutors for your Soul Ring, basically. Nice. Next one is Trash for Treasure, which cheats out artifacts because you sacrifice one and you get one out of your graveyard. Super dope. I've abused that card a lot. And the last one is just a solid one. It's just Fell Warstone.
Yeah. In a deck that cares so much about artifacts already, I feel like I put this on the list. Obviously, nobody else was like, why is this card in there? It's not the best card, but it's like one of those ones that has those dual synergies. Like you need a ramp card. You just need one. And this is basically, especially in this meta, it's going to get you any color. But it's also just an extra artifact to have on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think another 2 to add on this is Mycosynth Wellspring, and the other one that I think Wellspring draws you a card, or the other one gives you a land, or vice versa. I can't remember the names of them. But those, I think they're 2-drop artifacts. They come in and they get you either a card or a land, and then when they go to the graveyard, they get you either a card or a land, respectively. And in Bray, you're sacrificing a lot of things and putting things back onto the battlefield from the graveyard and doing a lot of weird trickery through that. And so I think those cards are very good.
Yeah, plus, shout out to Mirror Battlesphere.
I love that card. I love me some mirrors.
Yeah.
The next one we got here is Yidris Maelstrom Wander, and we've got kind of a package of what we call the wheels. We got Wheel of Fate, Windfall, and Whispering Madness. Obviously, we're missing Wheels of Fortune, but it's got a really good Windfall kind of wheels package.
I mean, Wheel of Fate is
super good.
Quite good.
I
It's weird.
like to put it
It's-
in every single one of my red decks.
It's very sneaky in a Cascade deck. Sean has this in his Yidris Cascade Wheels deck, and it is the only card that cascades for 0 in that deck. So if he ever plays a 1-drop with Cascade, it always hits a wheel, and he can always reliably hit that.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I love Wheel of Fortune. The only time I've actually played with it was in an online cube because no one has the fucking money to play with that. And it was absolutely just gut-wrenching to have played, against it. And so to have it for 1 mana.
Yeah, the next one we have on here, as far as like honorable mentions and really good cards, is Chromatic Lantern. It's a 3 generic mana artifact that adds 1 mana of any color if you tap it, but it also says lands you control have tap and add 1 mana of any color. So
Hey,
this
I heard you like mana
immediately-
rocks.
Yeah.
And also, I heard you like to play multicolored spells. Also, I
Tons
heard
of
you like to
forest.
play a 4-colored deck.
Yeah.
Let me put all the things you like.
Let me just make sure that any land you play can do whatever you want it to.
Yeah, I think they messed up by giving this to only 1 deck.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. In a set of 4-color decks,
Yeah.
this should have been all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is this the fucking deck that got it?
I know. So I don't know how they made that decision. Like, we need more ramp in this one, I guess, even
Yeah, I
though
don't
it has
know.
green in
'Cause
it.
it's good. Next one we got is Waste Not, which is 1 in a black for an enchantment. And whenever an opponent discards a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add 2 black mana to your mana pool. And whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card.
This is another kill on sight. The value they get.
All of the things that Yidris is trying to pump out in this deck, it just creates
it's
value from
super value.
every action.
What's funny is that this deck has 3 enchantments, all 3 of which we're going to talk about. Because we've already talked about Frenzied Fugue, right? It's part of the cycle of just like random shit. Waste Not, absolutely, like it is a kill on sight. And then also has Burgeoning.
Oh, Burgeoning, fuck.
Banger alert.
Damn.
So Burgeoning is a enchantment for a single green, and it reads, whenever an opponent plays a land, you can also play a land from your hand. So not only can you ramp on your turn, you can ramp on other people's turns.
Yeah, it's a really
There's
good card.
some very mean things where you can play it on turn 1, and then when it gets to your turn 2, already have 4 mana to play Yidris, and then just start going, and the value, you're just so far
You
ahead that it's
cannot beat
hard.
that.
It's hard to keep up. Like, you just
And
stomp them.
Burgeoning is still getting value.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can wheel and like have wheels that are friendly to you, where it doesn't matter if you discard stuff, like you're still drawing up to 7. Hey, oh no, I drew like 4 more lands and now I'm at 7 and you guys are 3.
Yeah,
Get
Like a
fucked.
card like that compared to like the White's version, which is like maybe Tithe or Landfall or some shit like that, where like you have to have less than everybody else. This
Land
just
tax.
always, if you have a land in your hand, it's going on the battle.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the last episode with the commanders that care about what other people are doing
Yeah.
and like maybe stopping them from playing spells or doing things. People aren't going to stop playing lands.
No, they
Like,
have
they will
to.
always play lands, and so you will always make your land drops.
Yeah, turn 1 Burgeoning is one of the best like honestly like the best cards you could ever possibly play on turn 1.
It's almost as scary as a turn 1 Soul Ring. Like
I think that it is
it's worse.
Yeah, I think that it is one of the few cards that is scarier than a turn 1 Soul Ring, only for the first few turns of the game. Whereas a turn 1 Soul Ring is going to have that power level throughout the game
because of the abusability. But like, yeah, the fact that turn 2 with a Soul Ring you might have 3, but with a burgeoning you could have 4 colored mana.
Yeah, I guess
this
that's
is
true.
Crazy shit.
Yeah, there's some
like
scary.
burgeoning definitely
scary
falls off
business.
quickly, but
Yeah. But it's still so good.
like you have to have
value
lands in
over
your
time.
hand.
Yeah,
Right.
That's the problem. All right, up next we've got Kineos.
Kineos and Tiro.
Tiro. So this is the group hug deck.
This is a partner commander that's not a partner commander. Because they're partnered
it's
together.
just 2/1/4s, just hugging everybody.
Most
so
of themselves.
obviously, there's a lot of hug effects. So like Rites of Flourishing, Howling Mind, get everybody to draw cards.
I love Howling
ramp
Mind.
more. Yeah, Howling Mind's great. And then at the same time, there's a lot of prison effects. There's
love
propaganda,
prison effects.
ghostly prison, sphere of safety. So it's like attack everybody else. You got to pay to attack me. Just we're cool.
And I'll help you so
you can
fuck
kill
all them.
everybody
Yeah.
else.
yeah, but don't fuck with me.
Yeah, and so the last ones we have are the finishers, which are
I
lurking
love
predators, which are they just whenever people cast spells, you just get shit for free. And then the next one is Primeval Protector, which I think is a very interesting one.
Yeah, but
It's-
it's hard to evaluate this one sometimes.
Yeah, it is weird. So it's 10 and a green for a 10/10 avatar. Primeval Protector costs 1 less to cast for each creature your opponents control. So in a commander game, it's a lot of the time going to cast just a single green.
Yeah, I feel like 3 is where I see it the most.
Yeah, and then when Primeval Protector enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control.
Which is dope, but sometimes you cast Primeval Protector and you cast Primeval Protector.
Yeah, at the very worst, it's a 10/10 still that pumps everything you have for probably less than 11 mana. You're never going to cast it for full cost.
Nah.
So it's
But it has no evasion. Like
That's
there's
the
a lot
thing,
of-
like-
there's a lot of things that like I said, it is a card that is hard to evaluate.
yeah. Let's go
To the broken
very
deck.
last.
I was going to say last, but certainly best.
Yeah.
We've
100%.
got the Atraxa deck.
So first one I put on the list is just arguably one of the top 3 board wipes in Commander. Merciless Eviction.
Quite good.
4 white, black, and most board wipes are pretty content with just destroying stuff. Merciless Eviction was like, let me one up that. So choose one. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, or exile all planeswalkers. So this thing
Never heard that
hits
before.
on all facets, and it's an exile effect. Like this thing is a fucking beast.
Yeah, we talk about modularity in cards, and this is one of the most modal board wipes you can get.
I think it is the one that has the largest variety of things you can do as far as like permanent types you can affect.
Yeah, and Drew, like you said, exiling is so much stronger than just simply destroying. It's
If
just,
they throw in the restriction, you have to be at least an Orzhov.
yeah.
Oh, bummer. I have to play white, I guess is kind of like the downside.
Yeah, I get access to all the rest of the good board wipes because I'm also in black. Like, I'll just play this too.
The next one we got on here is Colonian Hydra.
Hell yeah.
3 green for a 0/0 with trample.
Whack.
Creature Hydra.
Hell
Colonian Hydra enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it. So it's a 4/4 for 5.
Hell yeah.
But whenever Colonian Hydra attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it, each creature you control. God
Hell yeah.
damn.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before, but whenever a card says double on it, that's like
it's already
okay,
bad.
Whoa,
Yeah.
what is happening?
And anytime a card says each, it's also wearisome.
That's what I was going to say is that there's 2 words on here that are like troublesome. Double, each. Just like 2 steps back,
To have
please,
those
sir.
together, we're in some.
A lot.
Yeah,
of
especially in a
heavy
deck that's
power.
already proliferating. So it's already trying to add counters and do things to make some broken shit happen. This one's it's powerful.
This was printed before Whining Constrictor.
Well, that's a bummer.
Nah, Whining Constrictor is easy slot in. You put that in quick. We've also got Corpse Jack Menace, which is, I mean, I was talking about Whining Constrictor. Let's just talk about what is basically the same.
I do love the art.
Yeah, Corpse Jack Menace is dope. So 2 black-green creature fungus for a 4/4. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on instead. So Winding Constrictor just adds an additional one. This one doubles it, but it is limited to +1/+1 counters versus just counters in general.
This should have been a 4/4 creature Demogorgon.
That'd be dope.
Up next, we've got Tusk Guard Captain. 2 and a green for a 2/3 creature human warrior with the Outlast mechanic.
Ooh, throwback.
Once again, put that on because I just love cons. Like it's still one of the best draft environments. It's a lot of fun.
So basically, you pay a green, tap the creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, Outlast only as a sorcery, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample.
So in a deck like the Atraxa one, there's a lot of +1/+1 counters floating around, ways to move counters around, say Rayhan or any of the other shit going on, and it allows you to, swing out wide and go big.
Yeah, a lot of these +1/+1 counters they're kind of slow and they just slowly build up counters. But the tracks you can just keep pumping them out. You just got to get one on each creature, and then you just keep going and going and going.
Yep. Up next, we've got Revelark, which is 4 and a white for a 4/3 creature elemental with flying.
It's Revelark.
When Revelark leaves the battlefield, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your battlefield. It's just value right there. That's what that is.
Yep, it's just not much to say.
So Thrumming Bird is 1 and a blue creature bird horror for 1/1. When Thrumming Bird deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. Gets out early, starts proliferating quick.
Very evasive.
Yeah, it's odd how many people in a Commander game are not going to have flyers. I would bet that at least 2, probably 3 in a 4-player game aren't going to have flyers.
Yep, you're always going to have a target.
And free proliferate is,
Real good.
look at Atraxa.
I mean, if you can proliferate twice every turn,
Yeah, you're winning that game.
seriously, especially in a Super Friends or anything, if you tune it up.
Well, this next card that we're going to talk about, the last card in the deck that we found noteworthy, has 2 of our favorite words, double and each. It's Deep Glow Skate. 4 and a blue for a 3/3 creature fish. When Deep Glow Skate enters the battlefield, double the number of each kind of counter on any number of target permanents.
See, if it wasn't permanents, it would be a balanced and fair magic
It
card.
was just creatures.
If it was just creatures. But since it can target planeswalkers, you can immediately ult things. And it's just a different kind of
It's literally doubling season.
It's-
a one-time doubling season.
that you can abuse and recur and bounce very easily and abuse
Go
the
crazy
hell out of.
with, yeah. That card is innocuous by itself, but paired with pretty much anything else is
But with
just
anything
too
in
much.
this deck, you'll just accidentally win.
So
It's also like a $10 card.
we've talked a lot about all the decks, but power level as a set, what do you guys think? 0 to 10.
9.
Yeah, it's hard to rate them a 10, but Drew, I agree with you. They're all 9s because they all, or maybe not they're all 9s, but the set as a whole is 9s. Like they all do different and interesting things, new things that we've always wanted.
Atraxa's like a 9.5.
So yeah, some are more
Yidris like 9.25.
busted than others. They can all be taken apart and focused and broken in their own different way.
But
like-
then they also provide so much utility and support across the board for
Yeah.
doing whatever the fuck you want. Like,
Yeah, just at the baseline, they're just so well built. And we've said this before, this is like the gold standard. This is the peak of Commander sets. Like they nailed it so much that every set after this, we've judged against this one because it was so good.
and comically enough for us, where we, didn't start recording until last year, we've judged prior sets in comparison to 2016.
Yeah.
And like it's unfair for those sets because
Yeah.
obviously like they didn't have that
I
as
was
a
going
gold
to say
standard.
2011 was probably awesome the year it came out, but now looking back on
2011 was dope. 2013 hit and miss, there's some goodies there. 2014 some broken shit. 2015 you're looking at like experience and you obviously see like a vast disparity across the decks. And then 2016 and you just see like finally like you're hitting a home run because you have consistency, which is not a word that I think a lot of people associated with a commander deck. And then you associate that with a 4-color deck and it's just it was a good time to be a commander player. I wish that I had invested more at the time.
I wish I bought all the decks.
Yeah.
One of the highest praises we can give this is like, if you see one of these decks, you should definitely pick it up. And it's hard to say that with a lot of the recent Commander sets. Like, well, if you don't like this, or if you aren't into this mechanic, or you don't like these colors, probably just skip these decks. But these ones, like, pick any of these decks and they're all going to be awesome and good and play well and just be a ton of fun.
And they, like, honestly, there's so much diversity within the decks that all somehow still synergize together.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we have been able to get out of Commander decks, because before it's like, oh, look at these 3 like commanders that you could have. You know, you've got Nekusar, you've got Haleva, you've got whatever.
Draxamundar.
Yeah, literally. And it's like, great. 2 of you are useless. 2 of you are like wasting slots in my deck for cards that I want. But at the same time, like, I could build a deck around you later, but I don't have the time or investment to do it. And now it's just like, yo, this deck is pretty focused. You could pick the partner commanders and have a good time. You can mix it up, whatever. You could just take those cards out and just like focus it down and only really have to swap out like 5 cards and you'd be solid.
The last question we have on our outline is, was this a successful product? I think it's a resounding yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a $200
I even put it in
per deck.
in perfect terms. Yepper peppers, baby.
It's hard to beat that.
These decks were great. I mean, nobody looks at these decks and goes, yeah, I wish they hadn't done that. So I think
you could literally model your land base off of these decks.
Yeah, and be okay.
And do it in a way that's affordable.
Yeah, they were built well. They ran well. They had interesting themes. They had new themes. They had awesome cards that we all wanted to build around and take apart and separate into new decks. But we left them in there because the deck ran so well together anyways.
Yeah.
They had dope new commanders. The fucking partner mechanic was unreal. Like, fuck all of the 4-color commanders. The partners are where like the gold is out of it. And the 4-color commanders are insane. They're dope. They're super fun to build around. But like the partner commanders just it opens up so much for you. This is one of the few times where I'll say just look up the deck list and like look at what's in there. A lot of the things in there will just seem fine, but in the situation where you're playing those decks, they really do coordinate super well together, which I feel like isn't always the case with pre-constructed commander decks. And I think that's one of the reasons why Commander 2016 is so good. It's not just the 4-color commanders, it's not just the partner commanders, it's not the fact that they have a really solid mana base to support that. It's not that they have good cards that work well with the partner commanders and the original commanders. It's all of that together that makes such a damn good product.
Yeah, it's the complete package. Also, shout out to Thrasios for only being a rare, not a mythic.
Obviously, expect another Commander episode in the works here soon. We're going to do 17, 18, and 19 and hopefully catch up before we hit Ikoria. Maybe not quite perfectly caught up, but we're going to be close.
Well, we're just going to shit on 17 and 19 and 18. We're going to be critically evaluating why Planeswalkers were reintroduced.
I liked 17. Give me kitty cats.
Yeah, I feel like that was sarcastic because 18 sucked ass. So obviously, thank you guys so much for checking it out and sticking with us through these 2 episodes on Commander 2016.
Shout out to Bareth for the dope proxies and tokens.
Go check them out.
Shout out to all of you people who are following us on.
I think his main base is Twitter, so go check him out on Twitter.
Yeah, amaranthalchemy.com.
Yeah. Got his own website. Dope. But yeah, shout out to all you guys who are filling out the survey, who are checking us out on socials. We are at UUD Podcast or at Untap Upkeep Drink. So check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I need to catch up on Drew's Brews, so that's my bad.
And especially YouTube. We're really trying to make that kind of our home base. So go check out the videos. Eventually, YouTube's hard. YouTube just sucks. It's awesome, but it sucks for creators. It's hard. Yeah. But we are getting there. We're going to make this shit look good and for you guys.
We're going to be moving to video.
We are.
As soon as we can. Turns out there's a lot that goes into that, which we did not realize until we started to prep.
Yeah, but we're getting there. We're slowly accumulating the tools and gear that we need to do that. So thank you so much for joining us. And as we like to say on this podcast,
have fun.
Please try some good scotches and let me know what's going on.